All right, let's get into it. Um, you know this stuff about John Keel and Mothman you sent me?
Yeah.
It's seriously fascinating.
I'm sure.
This journalist, right,
Right.
turns into like a paranormal investigator. Like, why? What got him into all this? I mean,
He was really into all that Forteana stuff.
Forteana?
Yeah, all those like unexplained phenomena.
Right, right.
The things that just don't fit into like normal science categories.
Like ghosts.
Yeah, like ghosts, UFOs, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Like the things Charles Fort was into, right?
Exactly.
Right.
He saw, just like Fort, he saw all these patterns in these events.
Interesting.
Like they were almost random, but there were these connections.
Oh, I see. Connections to something bigger. Like,
yeah, like there's something more going on, you know?
Right.
Like some kind of hidden meaning or purpose behind it all. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I get that. So this is mid-20th century, right?
Yep.
And people are just obsessed with UFOs.
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's like the whole thing starts with Kenneth Arnold, back in 47. And then everyone's seeing these flying saucers everywhere. Then we get Ray Palmer.
Oh, yeah, Ray Palmer.
He was the editor for that Amazing Stories magazine.
Right.
He had this way of mixing science fiction with like...
Oh, with like the 14 stuff.
Yes. Like those themes. It's like...
He had a talent for it. It was really something.
Yeah, and he had that, what was it? The Shaver Mystery.
The Shaver Mystery is
in the magazine. That story about
an ancient civilization
yeah.
living underground, causing trouble up here with spaceships.
Oh, wow. I've heard of that. It's like...
It's pretty wild, right?
Yeah, wild. So didn't that cause a lot of issues?
Oh, huge controversy.
Yeah.
It blurred the lines between fact and fiction.
Bro, like...
And it really fueled that whole growing obsession with the occult and paranormal. People were eating it up.
It was the perfect time, right? Like, Palmer was giving a voice to everyone who felt like, I don't know, like, there's more to this whole thing, to reality, like more than what mainstream science wanted to admit.
Exactly. He was tapping into something that was already there, this feeling that we're not getting the whole story.
Right. So it's like that's the world John Keel steps into, right? It's like
a world where anything could be possible, where the line between what we know and what we don't know is constantly shifting.
Yeah, a very blurry line.
Yeah.
So tell me more about Keel himself. Like, where did he come from?
Well, Keel was a journalist, just like Fort.
Okay, I see the connection.
But he always had this, this attraction to the strange and unconventional, almost like he was looking for it.
And he even saw a UFO.
Yeah, in Egypt.
Wow.
While he was traveling there, he said he saw this spinning, like a Saturn-shaped thing just hovering over the Aswan Dam.
Over the Aswan Dam.
Yeah. Right.
Crazy, right.
So he wasn't just, sitting behind a desk making stuff up. He was out there seeing this stuff for himself.
Exactly. He was experiencing the strangeness firsthand. And get this, he also claimed to have had an encounter with the Yeti.
The Yetis. Like the abominable snowman. Yeah, while he was trekking through Sikkim. So he was a real adventurer.
Wow. I can't even imagine. So, okay, back to UFOs. I mean, at first he was just like any other person at the time, right?
Yeah.
Just thinking aliens, right?
Well, at first he was a big believer in the extraterrestrial hypothesis. That UFOs were spaceships from other planets.
Yeah.
Like little green men from Mars kind of thing. It was the popular theory back then. But as he kept investigating, he started noticing this weird overlap between UFO sightings and psychic phenomena.
Psychic phenomena. Like what? Like mind reading.
Yeah. Things like telepathy, precognition, sometimes even poltergeist activity. It made him question the whole spaceships idea.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like, if it's just aliens, why all the psychic stuff?
Right, it didn't really fit. So he began moving away from that traditional alien explanation.
And going towards something weirder.
Yeah, much weirder. It's like he was stepping into a Twilight Zone episode.
Right, like a whole different reality.
Yeah.
So, Mothman, what happened in Point Pleasant back in '66?
Well, imagine this. It's November 1966 in Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
Okay.
And there are these 4 teenagers driving at night. They're in this deserted area called the TNT area, like an old World War II munitions dump.
Creepy.
Right. And suddenly they see this huge winged creature just standing by the road, like 7 feet tall, shaped like a man, but way bigger.
Oh, no.
And it has these glowing red eyes.
You're kidding. No more night driving for me.
I know, right? The kids were terrified, obviously. The news just exploded. The media called it Mothman.
Mothman, like because of Batman?
Yeah, because of the Batman TV show that was popular then.
I see.
And then, tons of people just flocked to Point Pleasant.
Oh, yeah, they all wanted to see it.
Hoping to catch a glimpse of this creature.
I bet that was nuts. It's like, makes you think, like Mothman, moths. It's all connected to, like Bad luck.
Yeah, exactly. Like a bad omen or something.
Foreshadowing the tragedy, that was going to happen.
Right. Like there's this deep connection between like folklore and the unknown. Almost like we're programmed to see patterns, to look for meaning in things we just don't understand.
Yeah, I get that. Makes sense. So that's what drew Keel to Point Pleasant.
Yeah. It was like the perfect mix of folklore, UFOs, and all this strangeness.
So Keel gets to Point Pleasant, ready to investigate. Did he actually see the Mothman himself?
Well, he never said he saw the creature, like directly, but he got all these stories from witnesses, people who said they saw the Mothman's strange lights.
Oh, yeah, the lights. I've heard about those.
And even those mysterious Men in Black encounters.
The Men in Black.
Yeah, those shadowy figures in those black suits that always appear after UFO sightings.
Oh, right.
Intimidating witnesses, spreading paranoia.
So what did he think they were? Just government agents or something?
He didn't think so, no.
Really?
For him, the Men in Black were something way stranger. They connected to his whole evolving ideas about UFOs and the paranormal. It wasn't a simple cover-up.
Okay, so this is where the ultra-terrestrials come in.
Exactly. He began to think that, all the things we see in the sky, those lights, shapes, creatures, that they might not even be physical objects.
Whoa.
He proposed this super spectrum idea.
Super spectrum.
Yeah, like UFOs weren't spaceships.
Okay.
But they were like, I don't know, manifestations of energy or consciousness from a higher frequency. And we can only see them when they interact with our limited perception.
So it's like we're getting a glimpse of something beyond our normal senses.
Yeah, exactly. Like a reality that we can only see for a split second.
That's so trippy. So the Men in Black, they were part of this too.
That's what he thought, yeah.
So what were they?
He called them ultra-terrestrials.
Ultra-terrestrials. I like it.
Like beings operating outside our normal reality, like they could manipulate human perception and belief systems.
So it wasn't just spaceships, right? It was something way bigger, way weirder.
Right. It was about challenging our understanding of reality itself, and that was just the beginning.
It's wild, right? Like Mothman, lights, Men in Black.
It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, for sure. But Keel, he was open to other ideas too, right?
Oh, yeah. He wasn't just, jumping to conclusions.
He didn't just buy everything he heard.
No, he was actually pretty skeptical.
Okay, so for Mothman, he thought some sightings could just be people, I don't know, seeing things wrong.
Yeah, misidentifications.
So what could people mistake for, a 7-foot-tall creature with glowing eyes?
Well, some researchers thought it might have been a large bird.
A bird? What kind of bird?
Like maybe a sandhill crane.
Oh, crane?
They can get pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
They have a pretty wide wingspan, and their call can sound super creepy at night.
I can see how that'd freak you out.
Especially if it's dark and you're already expecting to see something, monstrous.
Right. But what about the red eyes? Cranes don't have glowing eyes.
That's true. Another idea was maybe a snowy owl.
An owl?
Yeah, they have those piercing yellow eyes.
Oh, yeah, I've seen pictures.
And those could look red if they reflect light, from headlights or streetlights.
I guess that makes sense. Plus, owls are nocturnal. Right?
Exactly. Joe Nickel, he's a, skeptical investigator.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
He looked into the Mothman thing.
Yeah.
And he found this old newspaper article. It mentioned a giant owl.
Right.
Someone had shot it. Turned out to be a snowy owl with a 5-foot wingspan.
5 feet. That's still huge.
Yeah, pretty intimidating, even if it's not some, supernatural creature.
Okay, so we got birds. What else did those skeptics say?
Well, some people connected the sightings to the military.
Oh, right. It was the Cold War, wasn't it?
Yep.
Lots of secrets, lots of paranoia.
Exactly. So maybe it wasn't a monster, but, some secret government thing.
Like experiments.
Yeah, maybe experiments. Or even some kind of psychological operation.
Kind of freak people out.
Maybe. There's this theory that the Defense Logistics Agency...
The DLA?
Yeah, they had a facility in the Ohio Valley, right? So maybe they were doing some kind of psychological warfare training.
Wow.
Or testing. And there's even this article in Soldier of Fortune magazine.
Soldier of Fortune?
Claiming that, get this, that the Mothman sightings were actually Green Berets.
Green Beret?
Yeah, testing out new parachute techniques.
Oh, yeah.
Using luminous paint that could look like, glowing eyes.
Okay, that's crazy. So birds, military, and... Wait, you mentioned hoaxes.
Yeah.
Could it be that someone was just trying to stir up all this, Mothman craziness?
It's possible, yeah.
What makes you think that?
Well, there's some evidence that some of those weird phone calls Keel was getting.
Oh, yeah, the ones with those cryptic messages and warnings?
Yeah, those. Some might have been pranks.
Pranks. By who?
Maybe by another UFO researcher, Gray Barker.
Another researcher. Why would he do that?
Barker was, well, a bit of a controversial figure. He was definitely into UFOs and the paranormal, but he also had this mischievous side.
I see.
He was known to make up stories, even admitted to it, to sell more books, probably.
So Keel, he could have been, like, tricked by another researcher.
It's possible. It's like even in the world of the paranormal, you got to watch out for, tricksters.
Right. So many possibilities. But even with all that, the birds, the military, the hoaxes, there's still one thing that's, unexplained.
You're talking about the Silver Bridge, right?
Yeah, the Silver Bridge collapse. That's the thing that really made Mothman famous.
It definitely solidified its place in, paranormal history.
So December 1967, a year after those first sightings.
Yeah, just over a year.
The bridge connecting Point Pleasant to Ohio just collapses.
During rush hour.
Oh, no.
46 people died. And some of them, they had reported seeing the Mothman.
That's chilling. Even if you don't believe in, the supernatural, it's hard not to see a connection.
It makes you wonder.
Did Keel think, Mothman was a warning sign?
He did see a connection, definitely. He pointed out that the bridge collapsed exactly 13 months after the first sighting. And he linked Mothman to the Garuda.
The Garuda?
Yeah, it's this giant bird creature from Hindu and Buddhist mythology.
Oh, right. I know about the Garuda, but I never thought of it being, like Mothman.
Keel saw similarities. They're both, powerful and connected to destruction and transformation. He even suggested that Mothman, just like the Garuda, might be a force that's outside of our, normal understanding of time.
Like beyond our reality.
Yeah, something that breaks through sometimes. Like it's trying to tell us something.
So we're talking about a creature from ancient myths.
Yeah.
That can travel between dimensions.
Maybe.
And it only appears to, warn us about terrible things.
It's a possibility, right? It makes you think about the nature of reality, what's really out there.
Yeah, deep stuff. So Keel was grappling with some really big questions.
He was. He started thinking that these paranormal events, they weren't just random.
What do you mean?
Like they were all part of a bigger system. He called it the control system.
Control system? What's controlling
What's
it?
the question, isn't it? Was it, some hidden intelligence?
Pulling the strings?
Maybe.
That sounds like science fiction. Did he ever, say what this control system actually was?
That's the thing about Keel's work.
What?
He throws out these huge ideas.
Right.
These mind-blowing concepts, but he never really explains them.
Really?
He's more interested in asking the questions than giving the answers.
So frustrating. Was this control system aliens? Demons?
He hinted at everything.
Like what?
Aliens, demons, some kind of cosmic consciousness.
Oh.
He even suggested that maybe, we humans are creating these phenomena ourselves.
Really? That's wild. So which one was it?
He never fully committed to any one explanation.
Oh, come on.
He wanted us to figure it out ourselves, to grapple with the mystery.
Was a master of ambiguity?
That's a good way to put it. His work was just like the phenomena he was investigating. Elusive, strange, and ultimately unexplained.
I guess that's part of what makes it so interesting, right? It's like he's inviting us to become investigators ourselves.
Exactly. He's not just telling stories. He's challenging us to think differently about the world.
And to question everything.
Yeah. And to consider that there might be things happening that we just don't understand.
Skeptical explanations, the Silver Bridge, the control system.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Keel was trying to make sense of a world that just kept defying expectations.
He was. And even with all that, he ultimately rejected the term ultra-terrestrial.
Really?
Yeah.
He came up with it, made it a big part of his work, and then just abandoned it.
It seems that way.
Why?
It seems like he felt it was misunderstood.
What do you mean?
People were taking it too literally, focusing on the being aspect.
Thinking of him as, actual aliens.
Exactly. But it wasn't about literal beings for him.
Well, so what was it about then? What were they?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like he gave us this really cool idea, but then never fully explained it.
It's true.
It's almost like he wanted us to, figure it out on our own.
Yeah, put the pieces together.
So if it wasn't about, actual beings, then what was he getting at with this whole ultra-terrestrial thing? I mean, what did he mean when he said, we're the intelligence behind it all?
Yeah, that we are the intelligence that controls the phenomena line.
It's a tough one to understand.
Yeah, for sure. It's like he's saying we humans are somehow making these things happen.
Like projecting our own weird experiences onto the world.
Maybe. Like our minds, our beliefs, even our fears, they shape how we see reality.
That's pretty deep. It's like, are we all just living in a giant shared hallucination?
It's a possibility, right? Like what's real and what's imagined. Maybe it's not so clear.
Yeah, that's a trippy thought. Maybe that's why he ditched the term ultra-terrestrial, right?
It's possible.
It's like too easy to think of them as, these alien things when he was talking about something way more complex.
Yeah. Right. Something more about, I don't know, like the connection between consciousness and reality.
It's not just about spaceships and aliens. It's about something much bigger, something we don't fully understand.
Yeah, exactly. It's about challenging the boundaries of what we think is real, acknowledging those forces we can't really explain.
And that's what makes it all so fascinating, right?
It's that uncertainty, that mystery that draws us in.
It reminds us that, we don't have all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much we don't know about the world, about ourselves, and about what's really real. But maybe that's okay.
Maybe the not knowing is part of the mun.
Right. The journey's more important than the destination, I guess.
That's a good way to put it. And that's really Keel's legacy, isn't it?
Yeah. He wasn't giving us the answers.
He was sparking curiosity, making us ask questions,
Yeah.
encouraging us to go explore those unknowns.
Embrace the mystery.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe by doing that, we'll discover something truly amazing.
Something that changes how we see everything.
Something that, expands our understanding of the universe.
And ourselves.
It's not about getting to the end. It's about opening ourselves up to those possibilities.
To the idea that there's more out there than we can imagine.
Right.
Well, I think we've gone pretty deep here.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about John Keel, the Mothman, the weird stuff in Point Pleasant.
We've covered a lot of ground.
All those skeptical explanations, the mind-bending ideas about ultra-terrestrials.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey.
But I think Keel's work, it's left us with more questions than answers.
That's the beauty of it, isn't it?
It is. And it's those questions that keep us searching, keep us exploring, keep us trying to understand this crazy world.
Right. The search never ends.
So for those listening, if you're intrigued by all this, check out Keel's books, explore that Mothman Museum website.
There's so much to discover.
Maybe even take a trip to Point Pleasant yourself. See if you can feel those strange vibes.
You never know what you might find.
Just remember, keep an open mind.
Yeah, stay curious.
But don't forget to be skeptical, too.
Always a good idea.
And most importantly, don't lose that sense of wonder.
The world is full of mysteries, just waiting to be uncovered.
That's so true. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll be back soon with more strange and fascinating stories. Until then, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep looking up. You never know what you might find out there.